All right, you guys. Hi, this is December 8th, and this is going to be a quick overview on a stock that we've discussed on the live channel. And many of you have asked me to do a video on it. Now, it's late, and that was a long day today for everyone. So I'm going to try to just do an overview of why I think logic might be something you can look at after these current shares that you're in. But I want to show you on the chart. It might have a nice move. I'm not sure why the focus is all a little bit. Anyway, you've gotten used to my lack of top flight technical skills. So anyway, I wish you well. It's a nice cool evening in DC, and I'll try to do a quick view on a couple of the others in the morning. But this is an important story, and it could, in my judgment, we're talking about a 35 cent stock that I think conservatively in the first quarter, second quarter of next year should anyway be trading around $3.50 a share. Now, some of the projections have it much higher. Maybe exiting 2023 at a $10 valuation. This is not strictly a short squeeze story. This is more of an opportunistic investment in a stock that has been destroyed by short sellers twice. One I can name, maybe. I might not get into the names just to keep this short. I can tell the exchange they went on, and we can go through it quickly. But basically, let me set the financial parameters of the opportunity, if I can use that word. Logic is the name of the company. Now let me just show you the website. It's a beautiful website, which I think matters. Your future customers are waiting to meet you. This is a company that uses the internet to help internet companies expand with digital outreach, and then you know how those ads always appear on the side of your screen as soon as you type, I don't know, baseball mitt. The next thing you know, you've got a bunch of baseball paraphernalia that always shows up. So let's quickly go. You can look at this, logic.com. You can look at this over later. Lead generation, digital advertising, consumer profiles. They have a great blog here. They have a saying, if I can find it, that's perfectly describes what they do, which is basically, you do your work, we'll handle all the technology. They get customer data for you, better than intuition. All right, here, digital marketing. It's an all-in-one data, AI, and media buying platform. Data personified. I'm trying to find the one expression that I thought. With logic, your message can travel along their journey. Mathematics, how it all Our digital marketing platform was built to work with the advertising industry's best of the best solutions in a unified experience. This enables your marketing to leap from idea to results. Simple pricing, transparent, plan comes together. I'm trying to find the one. Okay, here's the customer marketplace. Bridging the gap between consumers and brands. Powerful solutions. Data collection. Accelerate your growth. Basically, this allows smaller online companies to compete with the big boys. They don't have to buy the expensive plans. That the big companies can afford. All right. All right. These are a couple of examples you can look at later. Here's the team. This is Brent, the CEO. I just was in New York maybe 10 days ago. I might be wrong on that exact date. And I met with him, had a great meeting. And here's the rest of the team, which you can look at, at your leisure. Maybe it's on the blog. I may not find this perfect expression they have. But here's their blog you can read. And let me just see if it's here. I mean, that describes it. It's not the one I was looking for. It's difficult to find growth opportunities in a competitive and evolving digital world. Let us partner with your team to ensure success. But this is something you can look at later. Now let me quickly go to this chart. This is a multi-year chart that I pulled up on stock charts. Down here in the lower end, you can see the damage done by a couple of financings. Logic did and I'll read the details to you, but it's the concept that matters. They did a financing on the Neo exchange approximately 2 years ago, and I remember, and we can talk about if it matters, but at around $3.50. It's the same story most of you are familiar with. Charming fellas, great promises. We're gonna help you grow. And then, as soon as the deal struck, the short selling comes in. And I don't know if that helps, but it adds a little bit of something to me. So the short selling came in, and you can see it here up here in the 350 level, and it just went on and on and on. Now those, and I'll save it for another video, but those, I know the names of those short sellers. They're pretty much gone. There is a warrant, a 375 warrant, I think, that's up there. That's not apparently being sold against, but it sits up there, and that's something to be aware of in the future. More recently, they did an offering in this range, in this summer, and you can see what transpired. I guess it was in March of this year, and typical U.S. stock market. Take advantage of the customer situation. Now, I think that group is not as predatory as some of these other short sellers. My understanding, and I'm not sure I'm supposed to name the group, so I won't. My understanding is they have. What happened is they gave money to Logic, and they built in the same sort of formula, but they had what is a true-up provision. And so they drove the price down, nabbed like Pac-Man, Mrs. Pac-Man, they grabbed the bigger true-up shares down low to expand their profits by their own driving the stock down. These things drive me crazy. But anyway, they've been selling those shares, and so there's been an overhang on the market, which probably is going to disappear fairly quickly. I've heard different numbers on it, but it may be as few as 2 million shares left to sell. It could be less than that now. And once it's gone, there's no reason why the stock can't go up. And so if you look here, which is one of the technical reasons, I guess, combined with fundamental, that it makes this look rather attractive to me. The stock closed today at, everything was in the red today, everything. I just don't know. It's like the whole system decided that they needed to short everything and drive the retail investors out of the market or something. But it closed at 37 cents, so this is an accurate representation of where it closed. It's trying to get above the, if you go over here on these charts, you can see the blue is the 50-day and the red is the 200-day moving average. So it's gone once, twice, and now a third time through that 50-day moving average. That to me shows that it's about ready to go through and stay above that 50-day moving average. You've got a series of higher lows, and then, of course, a little bit of a drop-off here. But you've again built up a series of higher lows. In terms of the highs, obviously there's a downtrend. But I think this chart is firming up very nicely. If it gets through that 41 level decisively, it gets to through 51, you've got rather confusing. This chart doesn't tell me much in terms of MACD down there. But anyway, then if we zoom out, where can it go from here? Well, the first area that I see that spike upward, you see, is that looks like it's around 85 cents. I don't think that's going to provide much resistance, but it might be a little bit of a hiccup point. Then if you look at a dollar, if you go over to March, April timeframe, you see that little dollar in there? That stands out as an area the stock will move to, and will probably have a little few days fluctuating. And then there is quite a bit of activity there until $2, but I would pick my next target after 1 as being sort of that spike at maybe 160, but then just over $2. So I don't see a lot of resistance there. You can see the volume below. You had the spike when it went up to $4, and you've had a lot of volume here previously, almost to $1. But on the way down there, it wasn't a lot of volume, so I don't expect a lot of resistance. And then if you go a little bit further, I'm moving this. Maybe I should do it like this. This whole area in here, in the middle, between 2 and 4, That's where I think this stock is headed in the first quarter or the first half of next year. So you have, I think, a chance to get into a stock in tax loss season the rest of the year, which has an 8 to 10x potential. It does have also um, that short squeeze aspect to it, but primarily this is a stable, growing firm, um, which provides an opportunity, like I said, to maybe 10x your money in the next 6 months. And then ultimately, if you expand this sort of over here and come across, you're looking at the $7 to $10 range ultimately. But anyway, main thing I want to say is the investment opportunity is, and I'll give you some reasons as we go, um, is a 37 cent stock going to $3.50, $4 in the first half of next year, and maybe in the early time frame. Okay, now let me see if I can. This is okay. We'll talk about that. Now, what I want to tell you about the valuation, and I'm just going to read from some notes. Logic right now, and we can go to. I can show it to you. Let me read it first, and then I can prove it to you if you want to see it. Logic has a market cap of about $15 million right now. $15 million. They have projected sales next year, revenue, turnover next year of $100 million. $100 million projected. And they expect to be profitable for the entirety of 2023. The competitors trade at a multiple of revenues, multiple. This is trading at 0.15, like 15 basis points of projected revenue. And so there is a valuation data point that helps support the anticipation that this stock can go up maybe 8 to 12, 10x next year, early. Okay, so there's a term they use for their business, which I'm not, it's not my space, but they're in the ad tech, martech, so advertising technology and marketing technology business. And they're, as I tried to explain earlier and could not find the little quote, they're focused on giving smaller companies the same sophisticated internet sales and marketing capabilities that larger companies have. And that's the big thing. And that's the future, as I'm experiencing in talking to you, is sort of the distribution of capabilities to smaller outlets by the internet. The insiders own a significant portion of the company. In fact, Brent Suen, the CEO, has been a buyer of stock as recent in the open market, not through an offering or a something that came inside of a deal, just buying in the open market. And so he's purchased September 178,000 additional shares at 35 cents. So, and he owns, I think, almost 20%, or the insiders own almost 20% of the company. So he's shown his confidence in the growth of Logic by putting his money where his mouth is. There's a new, just to buttress the revenue projections of 100 million next year, there's a new customer announced 2 weeks ago that it will add in the news announcement, they break it down per month, and I'm not going to try to do that. I'll show it to you, but it's basically between $40 and $50 million a year. Um, and they had a deal they've announced as well. Um, they have an exciting new hire, which I'm not allowed to express as I just started to say it, so just we'll stay tuned for that. Um, okay, let's just go through some of the news stories. November 8th of this year, and I'm not going to read them, I'm just going to highlight them. The Logic, a provider of digital consumer acquisition solutions, today announced that it has recently signed a managed services contract with an undisclosed client. They can't say who it is. And here it is. With an estimated to generate 2 to 3 million a month in revenue going forward. It's a mid-sized operating business. And Brent said, we're extremely happy to report this new client win. I'm going to skip along to the next news because I don't want you to get bored. And you can always check it out afterwards. Here, this is the one I wanted to show you right here. They just announced on November 18th, not too long ago, Logic, a provider of digital consumer acquisition solutions, today announced that it has signed a non-binding letter of intent with a privately held operating company, which I'm not sure of that dash, what it means, in which effectively simultaneously with Logic's pending SPAC transaction with Aubrey SPAC 1, Logic will acquire the private company in a share exchange for newly issued shares of Logic. Down here, this is important, the recent announcement of the Aubrey SPAC 1 special purpose acquisition company, as you know, opens a possibility for Logic to acquire this new company simultaneously with the Data Logic business being acquired by Aubrey. The combined entity will do a significant capital raise, which is great news. They will meet the listing qualifications to go on NASDAQ, which is fantastic. And, you know, a lot of you have familiarity with that issue, but that is a positive. The preliminarily agreed gross valuation is about $250 million. And this company operates in the wealth management area, which is obviously a growing area worldwide, and you all are often you are participating in. So they expect the closing of this transaction in the first quarter of next year, and that's and I wanted to show you that's one of the reasons why I think the value of this stock can do what I said in the first quarter, second quarter, but certainly by the first quarter next year. So let me just give you the value. I want to give you the upside of the story, and then we can quickly touch on some of the things I raised, and then it'll be a short video, and I'll promise to do another one tomorrow and the next day, just to flesh out the story. This is an attempt to present the new idea to you, at just a broad look at it. Okay. This deal that I just read to you would value the combined at $3 a share versus today's price of 37 cents a share. The company is going to raise a little bit of money, but I don't think it's going to be enormously dilutive at all. And in fact, I'm not sure I'm allowed to tell you the exact amount, but it's not a big number for operating expenses. I'm going to tell you. I'm trying to think what you would like to hear about it. The key thing is they are going to be doing this deal. I showed you the other one. Let me see if I missed anything. This deal down here, the new client services contract, and this acquiring a privately held operating company. Now the reason this interests me is the company, the excuse me, the pipeline that Brent has always impressed me. I was an investor in Logic for a long time, and I actually at the end of one of the years sold it to get into, believe it or not, the stocks that we've been investing in. But I watched as the deal flow was exceptional. And one area they did a lot in was Southeast Asia. And let me just show you something. If it'll come up, I just got to remember the symbol. I may not remember the symbol. Here it is. Nope. All right, let me just write it out. Let me do it this way. Go Logic, they built up this company and then they distribute it to shareholders. This is not it. I misspelled Go Logic because I'm a bad speller. And that's just my lot in life. I don't spell well. Anyway, they did. This is it. Mobile fintech for Southeast Asia. Go Logic. They was spun off, and this has Southeast Asia as their focus, and it's it's all the apps with a phone, 8 years, scalable, and you can go through this again at your leisure. Go Logic with a Q. Here's the stock information. And there's the symbol, GOLQ. It's a $3 stock now. It trades almost by appointment. Look at the volume, 295. But that's going to change in the first quarter as well. But these stocks are separate now. But what I want to show you is when they distribute this on a one-for-one basis, even at these, because this stock price was higher. Look at the market cap, $100 million. They've done a good job of developing businesses, spinning them off to the shareholders, and this is an example. So now, sorry, let's go to Logic. And I've shown you guys that you can use this when I use those two symbols simultaneously, they skip in my mind. But anyway, here's the news down here. It should be. Yeah, here. Okay, it's more easily read than on Yahoo. Yahoo has all those ads. So over the last year, um, I showed you the November 18th release where they're acquiring the privately held company, and let's go to their results. But I also showed you the November 8th, the new client services contract. What I didn't show you is this. Announces plans to list on NASDAQ via merger with Aubrey Spock. DLQ, a provider of digital consumer acquisition solutions, that's a way of describing it, and a wholly owned subsidiary of Logic, announced it has entered into a definitive merger agreement for a business combination, blah, 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 and it becomes Data Logic. Under the terms, it will be, Aubrey will issue 11.4 million shares in exchange. At $10 per Aubrey share, the valuation is $114 million. So this is a huge event. And here's what Brent said. As a platform for access to growth capital, acquisitions, and higher visibility partnerships leading to increased customer acquisitions, DLQ sees this SPAC transaction as an important milestone for all shareholders. It's the same thing. It's exciting. So anyway, those are some of the news stories coming. There was one other thing I wanted to show you. I think that will be. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you the company profile. You can read that. The over-the-counter, they're on the QX, but this is all good. Verified profile, when it's all green like that. I'm trying to find the market cap for you to confirm what I told you. Let me go to Yahoo. What I told you about 15 million. That's where the opportunity is. And I'm going to read to you, and we'll go back to that graph and then maybe wrap it up for now. But you come to Yahoo, you just go to statistics. Market cap. Okay, so it's 17 million now. 17 million. But and here's held by insiders. It shows 3%, but I don't know where they got that number. My information is that it's 18%. Anyway, okay, I want to go back to this graph, and we will just discuss what happened to the stock, and then I might just leave you there. I'm a little bit tired tonight. Okay, here's the stock just sort of in the short-term time frame. So the key thing that's happened to the stock recently, in March they raised $3 million, and the company they did it with, I've already said, had what they call a true-up, but they had a sort of a clause in the deal so that if the stock went down, they got more shares. And lo and behold, the stock went down, of course, because they're selling it. They raised $3 million in March at $1 per share. So we've got to expand this chart just slightly. We'll go out 1 year, update. So in March, back here, they raised, see the dollar here? Come across, right in here in March, see all that? The stock was higher. The stock was higher. And now it's at $1. Now, you know my theory, which is as soon as these guys know that the company is going to engage in negotiation and is going to sign, they start selling. So they're really just giving the company's own money. So you come over, that's at $1.80. I wish I could draw on here while I'm talking to you, but you can see sort of this smokestack that goes up to the 50-day moving average right at the beginning of March. So I would contend that there was selling by the group who gave the $3 million, and it might have started earlier. This is how each of them operate. The good thing here is that the business plan for this group, it's a twist on the toxic convertible lending. There is a toxic aspect to it, but it's not a death spiral. So they raised the $3 million, and maybe I'm not going to show it on the news. I don't want to make this too long. We can do that in another one. But they did it at $1. Now, as soon as they signed this deal, you can see in March that, and then you come here to August, right here, August, September. these Wall Street sweethearts, they drove the stock all the way down to 25 cents. And this triggered the true-up clause, which issued additional shares to the company. Now, I cannot explain to you why the stock suddenly spiked to 80 cents. My guess is it had a lot to do with the general coming alive of the over-the-counter market. But I also think it had to do with some of the news announcements I just showed to you. But I would guess, the most obvious reason is this group stopped selling it naked or whatever they did to get it down to this true-up phase. So they locked in their shares at this lower price. It naturally rallied, and then they started selling. And so what's been happening for September, October, and November is this group is selling. And I'll see if I have permission to give the name for a future video. But the overhang is limited. It is not unending. And this business model is different than what you're accustomed with the other stories I've told you. They're not just selling endless amount of counterfeit shares. They did have that formula that drove the stock price down to have a true up. But this group's goal is not to sell endlessly naked shares to bankrupt the company. They just want to get that stub, a significant amount of shares, as a true up. And then they sell those. And that's their model. And they're very cooperative and friendly with the company. Brent maintains a good relationship. And the overhang is going to end soon. I don't know if it'll be December. It might be January, but if an investor were interested, an investor could go in through Brent and acquire those shares, and then it's all gone. And that number right now is, something like 6 or 700,000 to do that. But the point is pressure, this pressure to bring the stock down to get the true up is over with. And with the good news combined with the over-the-counter market and the fact that they took the foot off the brake, it rallied. But they got the new shares and they've been putting pressure on the stock. I've already gone through technically my opinion that this is about to, and maybe I can get somebody else to look at this with all those fine Fibonacci and all that. But I think this is showing strength here. Now today was brutal for everyone, but if this overhang can go, which I think it will very soon with the good news that's happening, I think you've got a stock that goes to $3 or $4 in the first part of next year. Let me just see if there's anything else I can add. Oh. Okay. Now, just to let now I'm stepping. Apparently, I do have. I might save it for another video. I'm going to save it for another video. But this sell-off that happened here was not authorized by their contract, and it was illegally done, driving it down. I'm going to save that for another video because I just don't want to take the risk of saying something I shouldn't. But anyway, I'll have another video. There's a good article that we'll finish up with, dated September of this year. So I'm going to try to get it for you right here. It's proactiveinvestors.com, and you have to allow cookies, and you have to, I hope I don't have to sign in. Okay, I'm going to search Logic. Logic has huge runway. That's the one I want. Here it is. This one. We'll just go over this quickly, and then I'm going to go. I promise my next video on Logic will be more upbeat. I'm trying to be upbeat, but this was a really long day in the markets. Everything was in the red, except for Alicia's Shamrocks. They were green. But let's finish up with what I think is a positive article. This is obviously written, my dad always taught me, look at who writes the article, written by Uttara Chowdhury. Anyway, Logic has a huge runway for growth as the trade desk for small and medium-sized businesses. So trade desk is what bigger groups use. And anyway, let's read it. A shift to online advertising has lit a spark under New York-based digital marketing company Logic, which connects brands to consumers by simplifying online digital acquisition. All right, I don't know how much of this data you want to hear, but in 2000, 90 cents of every ad dollar went into TV and print. But billions and billions of people now use a smartphone. So companies have tried to acquire those consumers online. A rapid shift to online advertising has been a radical catalyst for disruptors like the Trade Desk and Logic. See, Logic's on the Neo. That was the offering that got shorted, and I'll talk about that on another. I want to research the 5 or 6 short selling firms and do a video on that, and then that's the OTCQX. So, New York-based Logic provides e-commerce and digital customer acquisition solutions by simplifying digital advertising. I'm not going to read that sentence. Data Logic has positioned itself as the trade desk for small and mid-sized businesses, affording smaller entities similar digital marketing capabilities as the trade desk without the high minimums and costs. And this is from Zacks. And that brings something up. I might have to refer you to one more thing. Okay, here's their competitor, Trade Desk. Brent talks about. Trade Desk has had a phenomenal run and commands a massive valuation, or it did before the recent weeks. But they didn't even exist 10 years ago. Now they give brands the ability to buy online advertising, bid for, and buy ads. Their customer base is Walmart, Amazon, eBay, companies that are responsible for 50% of all online advertising. And then Brent goes on, it's hard for smaller companies to compete, so our customer acquisition technology tries to provide a level playing field. Our value lies, Brent says, in providing the same tools as the Trade Desk does. Brent provides it for small and medium businesses, enabling them to succeed against competitors of any size. We provide cost transparency and give them the same set of tools to compete so that they can save 15 and 30%. The advantage. I guess I'll read that sentence. Brent created the data Logic when Logic bought Push Interactive for $25 million in 2020. The cautious risk taker then augmented this with other acquisitions, Fixel AI, Rebel AI, and more recently Battle Bridge, to expand the company's capabilities. This is his kind of pipeline. As a result, Logic's digital marketing business now includes a holistic self-serve ad tech platform. It is data-driven. Its data-driven AI-powered solutions allow brands to advertise across digital and connected TV advertising. Logic also offers lead generation services and digital advertising and data management software. And there's synergies. There's always synergies, and they're going to unlock value. This is what I just told you about. I should have just read this to you, but this was a really good deal. On July 27th, 2022, Logic completed the spinoff of its majority-owned fintech and mobile solutions business segment, GoLogic, and that I described and I showed you the website. And the company's no longer consolidated with that. Okay, and then the strong outlook, which I've already discussed, this just reinforces it. Logic projects annualized revenue for this year to be in the range of 40 to 50 million, reaching break even as it exits, and then it expects to be profitable in early 2023 if planned M&A activity comes to fruition. And we discussed that. Okay, I guess it's right here. I was going to go get the Zacks research report, but this is. I should have started with this article. Our, our Brent said our current valuation is compelling because of where the stock price is now. In absolute terms, the valuation of Logic compared to its peers is trading at a big disparity. At the time this was written, this had a $9 million enterprise value or 0.3 times estimated sales. Right now, the company is trading, as I showed you, at 17 million market cap, and estimated sales are 100 million. So it's trading less even then. This was 0.3. It's trading now at 0.17 times its revenues, or turnover, as they say in the UK. Based on comparable valuations of its peers, according to Zacks, at 2.3 times enterprise value to sales, Zacks estimates that Logic stock is worth $1.73 per share. But remember, that's based on, you see up there in that paragraph, 26 million. Next year, assuming the merger and acquisition transactions go through, and there's no reason to believe they won't, and others coming, it's going to be based on 100 million. But anyway, there's $1.73 a share. And at the time of this article, the stock traded at 47. Analysts expect Logic's valuation to climb through improved profitability, revenue growth, and acquisitions. That's a pretty good sentence that Brent put there. We've done everything right by making wonderful accretive acquisitions. There are plenty more we could make. We're very solid in terms of intellectual property and competitive advantage, so it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy as we climb back up. And there you go. There you go. So I am going to look at my notes quickly. And leave it I'm going to leave it at that for now. I will do a follow-up. It's getting cold out here. I'll do follow-up videos on Logic soon with more detail. But that gives you some of the parameters of why I think this is a good opportunity. Maybe after that we have some gains elsewhere, but there's a tax loss selling coming in. There, the stock may stay at these levels, but come into January, you've got two announced transactions, and I think the overhang from, I'm not going to say the name of the company, will be dissipating. So the selling pressure will be disappearing from this, just this automatic selling. Just get rid of it because that's our business model selling, will be gone. And then the revenues and earnings from next year start becoming what analysts and investors are looking at. So this, I don't know how long I've taken here, but this I think is a strong story of a company going from the OTC to the NASDAQ, going from 40 cents to $4, and still having enormous growth potential that year, maybe exiting the year at $10 or more per share. So One thing I left out of here, there is going to be a distribution to shareholders once the SPAC merger has happened, but I'm just a little too tired to go into it right now. If I can beg of you forbearance, that I'll get into that tomorrow, maybe in the morning, or more accurately, maybe because it's going to be an active day for MMTLP, maybe at the end of the day. But anyway, thanks for listening to it. This is Logic, and this is your intrepid reporter, over and out. Cheers.